what's the best contraceptive? I'm sure at some point you've gotten to this point here. You are wondering which one to use because there are so many choices in the market, and this video will make it very easy for you because this is how we are going to approach it. First, we're going to look into how do they work in the body without any particular order. So how do they work? What are some of the side effects? And then later on, we're going to arrange them based on effectiveness, because a contraceptive is an agent which is meant to reduce chances of you becoming pregnant. Now, how effective are they? So that will be the main point. And we're going to group them into three. They are majorly two, but then because this is health, we're going to group them into three. First one is hormonal, two, non-hormonal, three, others. Number one, Sofia pill. I'm sure this we've heard about it in the past, and I'm sure at some point you've heard it closely. This is that one pill that people usually buy somewhere behind the dark corners of the streets, and you take only one pill and it will take you throughout the month. The reason I hate this one is because, one, it's actually banned in Kenya and some other countries, but I'm aware of Kenya. Second, it's an overdose of the hormones. We have progestin and we have estradiol. Is it estradiol or maybe estrogen? But it's one of those two. The reason why I don't recommend this one is because now having higher concentration of those hormones will give you severe side effects, and some of that can be clots. I know people would maybe like it because you just want to take one and take you through 30 days. It can be more effective than the daily pill that you'll have to remember to swallow each and every day, but at the cost of your health. And let's start with the pill. This is the most common one. I'm sure you've seen it at some point, or maybe you've used it, or maybe this is what you're using. This is a combination. It's a combined pill. So we have estrogen there and we have progestin, and this is mostly to trick your body into thinking that you're pregnant, and everything stops and you cannot become pregnant at this point, so you're not ovulating. Now, the pros is because it's quite effective, this one, but then the con is it's prone to, you failing to take the pill because you'll have to remember each and every day to take that pill. Another con is you might gain weight. The reason for that is when you become pregnant, you have the hormones that usually trigger or encourage your body into storing fat. So that's one of the major reasons why you might add weight. And this is the big reason why when you go to get those pills, your doctor might weigh you first and see if you're overweight or underweight or you're normal before giving you the pill, because one of the side effects will be you might gain weight. We have another pill which is progestin only pill, and this is quite safe when you're breastfeeding, in as much as breastfeeding is also another form of contraception, but it's not the most effective one. So long as you're breastfeeding, chances of you getting pregnant are reduced. But then to make it even more safer, you can take a pill which is progestin only pill. So this one, like the daily pill, you'll have to always make sure that you take that pill on daily basis, because if you don't, then you might be fertile, like you increase the chances of becoming pregnant. Now another one is contraceptive patch, which is a patch that you just place on your skin, and you have progestin and also estrogen leaking into the blood, and this is what will give you almost the same effect that you get from the pills. But now the advantage of this, you will just have to apply only weekly. So you just remove the one that I know, you will just remove and then you put another on top. Now if you're overweight, it might be less effective because of presence of fat. Another thing is maybe irritation on your skin because you have that patch on your skin. So the one that are known. Vaginal ring. This is a ring which is placed around the cervix, and the advantage of this is it's just working locally. So the hormones will be released to work on the organ locally. It prevents ovulation. But then the other advantage, the big advantage here is it doesn't actually go into the system. So it's not systemic. It doesn't affect your body negatively in as much as some of those hormones will get into the blood, but not as much. Most of that will work locally. The only disadvantage I have with this is discomfort that comes with that. We ignoring the side effect that might come as a result of having those hormones, but one of the major one is discomfort. Now we have injections like Depo, provera, which will take you 3 months. Now it's actually banned in some countries. Now I might understand why it might be banned, but it's quite convenient because one injection will take you 3 months, and no one knows. No one will know that you have Depo in you. And like when you have an implant, where someone can know or can get to know that you have an implant, you just get an injection that will take you through 3 months. Now, the disadvantage of this, I actually have two. One is once you start reacting with it, maybe unfavorably with it, you'll have to wait for the effects to wear off those 3 months, because it's an injection, it's already inside you, so it's not like an implant where you can remove it. The second one is we have cases of the side effects extending beyond 6 months, sometimes even 2 years before you become pregnant again or fertile again. So Yeah, it's not my preference. But we have people who can swear by it, meaning that it's working perfectly on them. But we have others that, yeah, don't like it. And my third reason is it's banned in some countries for, I don't know, the reasons. Maybe it's because of the side effects. Now, let's go to IUD, the one which is hormonal. It looks exactly like the coil, the one that is the copper coil, but now this one has progestin. I know you know Mirena. It's one of them. So it's inserted, and the advantage of this is it works locally. So it provides progestin locally, so it will prevent you from getting ovulation. Now, one advantage is it can last 3 to 7 years. So you just insert that and you forget. Maybe, okay, I don't think you can put an alarm for that one, but you remember, just, okay, calendar also will go beyond. But remember, it will take you long periods. But then there's another advantage. No, I shouldn't use but in this because this is an addition of a good point. Now, the advantage here, another advantage here is you can use it to reduce menses for those who usually get heavy menstrual flow. The con here is discomfort during the insertion, similar to what you get when you're getting copper IUD. Another thing is you might get irregular menses. Sometimes you just spot and you spot continuously. This is in some few individuals. So it might give you that. Second category, non-hormonal contraceptives. And let's start with is it the most famous one or is it the most popular one? Barrier method, condom. Let's start with the condom. Now that one is a barrier method. You put a barricade, the sperms cannot pass through. Effectiveness is dependent on how you use it. Another thing, another advantage of using condoms is you're protected from some STIs and UTIs. But remember, if it breaks, it doesn't prevent you, so it exposes you to one, pregnancy, second, STIs and UTIs. Second one, female condoms. So now you see the male condoms, now the opposite. Now they are inserted in the vagina, and as a male, if she's wearing a condom, don't wear because the friction will be high and they are going to break and you'll protect nothing. Now they will do similar things. Yeah, one, prevent them from, or even you from getting UTIs, STIs, and prevent pregnancies. But they can be a little bit uncomfortable and less effective compared to the male condoms. Now that diaphragms, yeah, it's a cup which is placed around the cervix. Now that cup, one, need to be inserted by a doctor or someone who is qualified, someone who is trained. So you'll have to go and see that. Second, you'll have to use it with a spermicide. And sometimes I've heard people complaining about them being uncomfortable, but they are good. Another thing is they are not protecting you from STIs, but they work by blocking the sperms from accessing the uterus from the cervix. And now the spermicides. This is an agent which is applied during sex to prevent you or to kill the sperms, so that when they come there, yeah, they swim to their death. Are they alive? Kinda, I'm not sure, because this is a haploid, so they have 23 chromosomes. So this is not even an actual cell, so they're not alive. They're kind of hard because they're swimming, but then I don't know. Maybe we can discuss this in the comment region. Still on non-hormonal, LARC, which is LARC, long-acting reversible contraceptive. This is copper, big name for nothing. So it's copper IUD, which is inserted, similar to Mirena. Now this creates an unconducive environment in the uterus, so it prevents the sperms from trespassing the uterus. And also, it prevents, should there be fertilization, it makes the environment hostile for implantation. The advantage is it can be long-acting, like the name suggests. So it can go even all the way to 10 years. And it's quite effective. But some of the disadvantages can be, one, and this is similar to, I forgot to mention that about Mirena. There is that string that usually dangle out. One, it can stab those minors. Mining, not minor as small kid. No, I'm talking about a minor. I don't know how to talk about. It's supposed to be a joke anyway. But then we have those that usually get stabs from it, especially when it's still, let's say, fresh in a month before it softens. Another thing is we have some cases of PID, which is pelvic inflammatory disease, where bacteria can pass to the uterus through that string. Not so common, but it's there. It's possible. So another con is cramping. So the cramps can be a little bit stronger. And also another thing here is you can get heavier periods during this period. But the good thing is it lasts. In 6 months, it should have resolved. And now that we're done with the hormone, let's go to the others. And let's start with the morning after pill. Now this is an emergency pill which prevents ovulation or if we have some that usually claim that even after ovulation, it can prevent the sperms from getting in by, making the mucus plug a little bit thicker so the sperms cannot penetrate, or make the area hostile. And this is P2, which usually claim that it does this. So the goal here is to prevent you from becoming pregnant after an unprotected sexual encounter or sexual activity. One thing you have to know about them is they are emergency pills. So you're not supposed to take them on a regular basis because the dose is a little bit higher. So you shouldn't take them on regular basis. You shouldn't. And also remember, you can use copper IUD as a form of contraceptive, like an emergency pill. Like for example, if you met your partner, let's say yesterday night, and then you don't want to use maybe P2, you can go and get a coil inserted, and that coil will start working immediately. Copper ions are usually very toxic to the sperm, so it's going to prevent the sperm. So just make sure that they are not trespassing. If there was ovulation and there was fertilization, it's going to make it very hard for implantation to happen. Still in others category, we have breastfeeding, which does something to the body, which is production of prolactin and also oxytocin, and this will prevent you from ovulating. But it has to be exclusive breastfeeding, meaning 3 to 5 hours in a day, and the baby has to stay closer to you almost all the time. Otherwise, you reduce chances or you increase chances of ovulating. Now, you can enforce this by using a progestin only pill, or just talk to your doctor and look for the best method. We have fertility awareness method, which is where safe days versus unsafe days. I don't like using those terms. I prefer using unfertile and fertile, or infertile. Infertile, don't like using that too because it means that you cannot become pregnant, like it's a condition. Let's use unfertile. Let's say that temporary moment when you cannot become pregnant because the egg is somewhere that cannot be reached by the sperms. Now we have 2 periods, and we've been able to calculate that. If not, then you can scroll back and you can see some videos we've done on regular menses and irregular menses, how to know when you're fertile or not fertile. So yeah, that's that. The con here is it's not 100% method, so you can easily miss the days. Also, we have people with irregular menses, so it can pose a challenge. Then we have withdrawal, the famous M-Pesa method. So this is before ejaculation you remove, and I don't know, it takes discipline. Second, it takes chances because it's not the most effective method, but it's quite cost effective. And I don't know, maybe you like it, I don't know. Do you use, okay, which one do you use, by the way? Now let's go to the permanent methods, and the first one is, start with the ladies, yeah? Tubal ligation, which is where now the fallopian tubes are snipped and then they are tied. So this is a permanent method. And the reason I'm saying this is because, yes, we have chances that it might be reversed, but chances are very low. The reason I'm saying this is because I have so many people in my DMs asking if it's actually reversible because they went through that procedure and maybe they were not told that it's not actually reversible. One of the biggest cons here is, regret. That's why when you're young, you are highly cancelled before getting this procedure. Another one is a hysterectomy, and this goes through, we can have partial, we have complete, where even the ovaries are removed, and this is mostly due to another problem, an underlying condition. Like for example, you have tumors that the only thing that can cure them will be removal of the uterus. Now, tubal ligation usually don't affect the hormones, so there is nothing that will happen apart from the fact that you reduce chances of you becoming pregnant. Another one, now in male, which is similar to ladies, this is vasectomy. Vas deferens, cut and tied, and this will make sure that the sperms will stay in the testes and they're not going to come out. And to make sure that this procedure was effective, there's a test which is called seminalysis, which is conducted after 3 months to make sure that there is no sperm which is appearing in the semen. But now remember, also regret, because this is highly not reversible. And I repeat again because I still have people. And let me give you a quick story. I'll just pick one. They're regretting because now they've had a good family, 3 kids, and now they are totally okay with that. And then they came to learn later in life that the kids don't actually belong to them. And now they are regretting the fact that now they had vasectomy and they really want to get the kids of their own. And yeah, it's such. Maybe we can have that conversation in the comment region. Did you have a vasectomy and then later in life you regretted the decision, and what made you have that regret? Maybe we can have that. And let's go to the rankings, and this is actually going to be informed mostly by the effectiveness because side effects usually differ from one individual to the other. You can be comfortable with Depo and the person is not. So we're going to use the effectiveness and sometimes maybe a bonus of what that thing can do to the body. And let's start with the worst. I don't like this one, which is Sofia the pill. It's condemned in Kenya, although we have stories of people still accessing it in some dark places there. You just go sit down, get your pill, and then you go out, then you come back after 3 months. And actually this pill is still marketed as herbal. So I hate it. Now let's go to the other one, which is Spermicide, which is 72%, around 72% effective. And this is the reason, you don't know how much of it will be used to kill the sperm. Some of them can escape, unless maybe you're using a diaphragm to create a barrier and then use spermicides to kill the sperms. That's where you increase odds that you're not going to become pregnant. But spermicide alone will account for around 72%. The other one is fertility awareness method, and the reason I'm putting it here among the least effective methods is because you can forget, you can miscalculate. Another thing is the body can just misbehave, or you have irregular periods, so it becomes very hard for you to predict exactly when you're having the ovulation. Ovulation can also even vary. It can come earlier or even later, so it reduces chances of this being an effective method. The other one is a diaphragm, or the cup that you put around the cervix, and this one, it has to be inserted by someone who is well trained on this one. Again, you'll have to use it with a spermicide for it to be effective. And another thing, if it's not well fitting, it can defeat the purpose, and it can be quite uncomfortable. So all those. Vaginal ring, this is around 91% effective, and it can be sometimes uncomfortable and you can get some discharge, but it's quite effective compared to the methods that we've mentioned earlier. We also have patch and also daily pill that will give you effectiveness of around 91%. And when you go to the patch, the application, the weekly application, the irritation on the skin, so it's around 91%, so they are close matching. So maybe you choose one which you might be comfortable with, along with a vaginal ring, which is local. We have Depo, which is discreet, meaning that once you get an injection, no one will know that you have that, but at the expense of, if you have adverse effects, you'll have to wait them off for the effect to wear off over time for those 3 months. And some of the side effects, and plus it's banned in some countries because of the side effects. Another one which is quite effective is sterilization, which is vasectomy, and tubal ligation in ladies, vasectomy in men. Now, we are going to remove hysterectomy away from this because this is totally different, because I don't think you're going to sit down and prefer hysterectomy as a contraceptive method unless there is something else which is going on in the body. But remember, you don't disrupt any hormone, because once you snip the vas deferens, the testosterone will still remain. And once you snip or tie off the fallopian tube, the uterine tubes, you still maintain your hormones, so the levels are not affected. Now, the next one, which is more effective, we have copper IUD. It is quite effective. Now, the advantage of this is you can still use it to control the menses along the way. Another thing is it doesn't disrupt the hormones. The drawback is sometimes you can get PID, which is something that you might not want to have, and also it can be not comfortable. But it's quite effective at 99% and above, meaning it can get to 100, but there is nothing to be 100. And you can actually guess the one that will be on top of it will be, the implant, the one that you get, and it will take you through 3 years, 7 years. Now, the advantage of this over copper is it can also act as a hormonal replacement method. Maybe you have an issue, you have, let's say, PCOS, and you want to control the hormones. Your doctor can use this as a form of controlling the hormones. It can be HRT, and it's still a contraceptive, and it will give you effectiveness of above 99%. So it's still quite a bonus. And the final one, almost at the top there, is a hormonal IUD, which is inserted like copper IUD. Now, the difference between copper IUD and this one is copper IUD will give you only contraception. In addition to it being used as a contraceptive, it can also be used in regulating hormones as a hormonal replacement therapy. Anyway, for you to avoid all this, you can abstain, which I don't think will be sustainable, but in case you don't, you can pick one that works for you. There is a huge disclaimer I want to put across. It doesn't mean that the order which I've put them is what exactly will work for you. And this is the reason why your doctor will be the best bet. You go, sit down, you have a discussion, they evaluate you, and they're going to formulate the best for you, because you have people who might be affected negatively by hormonal contraceptives. We have others which can still be affected negatively by something like copper IUD. And we have people who can swear by something like Depo. And our bodies are different, so that's why this is a general observation of how they work, the side effects, and the things that happen to the body once you start using them, that we've come up with that list. And the best list will be the one that your doctor will give you. So make sure before you decide on anything, talk to your doctor, evaluate the choices which are the best for you and your body. I hope you learned something. If you did, you might also want to know what will happen to your body if you stay for long without having sex. I'll put that video here, and the next video might be, I'm not sure, but it might be some of the things that are abnormal, that we think are abnormal, but they are actually normal in the body. See you there.